And now, it's the Stick Niner Empire Podcast Show with your hosts, Iron Mike Arango, Lucas McLaughlin, and Lucas Ortiz.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Stick Niner Empire Podcast. As usual, I'm one of your hosts here, Mike Arango. I am here with Lucas and Luke. Guys, another great victory. It is 4 in a row. We're averaging 30 points a game easily. We're giving up about 14 points per game. So our defense is, I would say, right around top 3. Our offense, top 3 also. Probably the best all-around team we've had in years. Thoughts on the games? Gentlemen, starting with you, Ortiz.
Yeah, I didn't really feel like this game was ever in doubt. They got a little close in the second half. I think it was about like a 5 or 6 point game at one point, but I never felt like the Cardinals could really truly challenge us and make us sweat out that victory. Kyle dialed up a great offensive game plan once again. I think we had like 6 out of 7 drives culminated in a touchdown. And yeah, the offense looked like a well-oiled machine. Defense did have a little hiccups. There was some coverage busts and some poor defending on the outside cornerback position. But other than that, no, can't really critique a whole lot. The offensive line was solid once again, and Brock Purdy had a near perfect game. I think his only completion was on a throwaway. So loved what I see out of the second-year quarterback. And Christian McCaffrey, right now he's looking like the MVP that nobody's talking about outside of San Francisco. So we'll just have to see.
Luke, why don't you talk to us a little bit more about CMC? I mentioned a few weeks ago I thought he was the MVP. I think now you're hearing a lot more chatter throughout the NFL
it is
about
interesting
possibilities.
It's normally a quarterback, obviously, but if he just keeps playing the way he is and he stays healthy, I mean, how could anybody deny him, right? I mean, he gets how many games now with a touchdown in every game? Like
13
games.
13 games, including the postseason. Yeah.
I mean, he just makes it look so much different, right? Than we have him. Even when Mitchell was playing and having a really good game, like, they have to worry about McCaffrey on every play, and then we have other guys that'll beat you if they cover him. So it's interesting to see that game. I remember we talked about how they have all the stars, and like a lot of them don't do well in a game that they played. Like you said, Purdy, Brock 30 was 20 for 21, 283 yards and touchdown. And he can still throw the deep ball a little bit. And I think he looks better than he did last year. But the point being that Debo doesn't have a big game. Kittle doesn't have a big game. And we still just, it got a little close, like you said, Lucas. But like you said, I had pretty much confidence that they weren't going to like come back and beat us. But, it did get a little scary there because Dobbs played well.
Yeah, I think
we did play well.
Yeah, sorry. I was going to say, once we were up 21-3, I was just like, all right, this game's pretty much over. They might get a touchdown here and there, but like I didn't feel like they could stop us when they needed to stop us.
Yeah.
If we needed to get a first down or a big play, we were just able to execute. There was those 3 big passes to Ayuk, which 2-3 weeks ago, everybody was yapping about how Purdy couldn't hit the deep pass, how he was overthrowing his receivers. This week, he was 3 for 3 on those deep balls to Ayuk. So it looks like he's gotten better, boys. I think the league is on notice that you can't just sit short yardage passes. You gotta, be a little more cognizant of the fact that we can go deep and we got guys that can make big plays downfield.
But one thing you definitely got to, applaud Purdy for is his anticipation is absolutely fantastic. He might have the best anticipation of the league. I mean, there's multiple passes in the game. He's throwing the ball when there's no one there before the receiver even breaks on it. But he's got the perfect placement before the receiver even breaks, and bam, he got it. There's no one else covering him. He's, Mac Jones was known for that coming out of college, but I think what we're seeing is Purdy's the best QB in the last few years at that particular skill set. Don't you think?
Yep.
Absolutely. He's definitely elevated his game since coming into the NFL, and he's confident. Like, he comes up to the line of scrimmage and he looks at the defense and he knows exactly where he wants to go, what he needs to do to execute the play. And, if there's pressure, he's able to make, buy some time, get out of the box, make an off-kilter throw. Like he's pretty good at ad-libbing a little bit and not just, being a robot back there and just strictly a game manager. Yes, he does manage the game, but he can make some highlight plays out there when the pass protection kind of breaks down, which it did a little bit. It wasn't perfect, but it was really good. And at the times that he needed to be a little more athletic, he was athletic and made those plays.
Yeah.
Luke, you know how I feel? Let me see if you agree. I almost feel like Kyle Shanahan's almost setting the next team up coming down the road, because the way we're using CMC, I mean, let's face it, we're using him like almost every other play, right? Sometimes every play for 4 or 5 plays in a row. I almost feel like at some point, people catch on to that. Yeah. He's going to have something waiting, and he's going to have some huge surprises, because Debo is going to have a few monstrous games this year. Yeah. Kittle, like you mentioned, also still hasn't gotten his due. Guys, these are Pro Bowl players that need to get the ball at some point. At some point, I think defenses are going to focus so much on CMC that you're going to see these other players come out of the, not out of the eyes, you know what I mean? Just come out of the background. I think that's part of what Kyle's kind of doing. I almost think like he's kind of like training us to think a certain way. If you understand what I'm saying.
Very strategic, right? Because now you'll see like go nuts in a game.
I don't know if like this next game coming up, I can see Debo going off here in this next game against the Cowboys. I think this is the type of game, because one thing Kyle does do, gentlemen, a lot is he runs after the next best player on that defense. Like we go after Aaron Donald. We go after Mike Parsons. So Debo's that type of guy that you want to run after him, so to speak, run into him, wear those guys out. So I really wouldn't be surprised. Why don't we get to an early down in the trenches here with Luke Ortiz. But before we do that, guys, if you enjoy the show, like and subscribe, that we could get more content out to you. Okay? Let's talk about the O-line, man. We all gotta be proud at the way these guys are playing. We gave up 1 sack this week. I believe it was a McKivitz sack, but nevertheless, he is playing better. Everyone's playing better. Ortiz, tell me about it.
Yeah, this O-line, if you look at where they were a year ago, they're far better. Like last year, I think we were 1-3 at this point. Right. Everybody was complaining about how bad the O-line had been protecting Trey Lance at first and then Jimmy Garoppolo after that. And it wasn't good. Mike McGlinchey was giving up pressure after pressure after pressure, hit after hit, sack after sack, penalty after penalty. And while McKivitz I wouldn't say he's a top 10 right tackle, he's somewhere in the mid-tier, and for a team that's playing as well as it is, like he's been pretty solid. He's been steady at that right side, and he did give up a sack, but he only gave up 1 pressure and 1 hit, and that was that sack. So other than that, great in the run blocking. Protection was decent. Trent Williams, I think, gave up a pressure, but for the most part, these guys did a good job of keeping Brock upright and not really having to rush. Maybe other than 1 or 2 throws, the incompletion was actually a throw which he had to get rid of before he got hit. But, you don't go 20 for 21 or 21 for 22 without having good pass protection. And that's what these guys provided on Sunday. I think they're going to have their hands full against the Cowboys, and we'll get into that later. But, the Cardinals, they don't really have anybody on the defensive front that really scares you, is, an all-pro or Pro Bowl player type. So they haven't been tested yet. They were tested a little bit in week 1 against the Steelers with TJ Watt, but this Cowboys, they have 2 elite defensive ends, and it's going to be interesting to see how they match up against our offensive line. And I'm really just, salivating to get to that game. Like Sunday night cannot come fast enough. I want to see how these boys perform against one of the better defenses in the league, and see if they're really going to get, how they perform when they're truly tested against a better defense. But overall, got to give him an A. Like I don't know if you can say anything other than a 100-yard rusher, an almost 300-yard passing game, and 1 sack. That's why I feel like they earned that solid A, and let's see if they can keep it going into Dallas.
But Trent
they're
Williams
playing right
is so
now, like-
valuable, right, guys? I mean, he had a rough one last week, and that wasn't even a rough one. But Trent
Right.
Williams is phenomenal. He's just watching him play, and it helps Christian McCaffrey, But McCaffrey's a really good player too. So it comes down to health, man. If we can stay healthy, I think that this is going to be a promising year. But it all comes down to health because the depth chart, it's just it gets thin, especially at quarterback, and then Mitchell's hurt again, and so it's going to come down to health. We've got to stay healthy.
It's the one position we really cannot afford, gentlemen, to get hurt at.
Yeah,
No,
I would say more than anything, O-line.
absolutely.
I think O-lines we're a little worried. Guys, how interesting is it for years and years, I'd say about 10 years now, our defense has been carrying this team, honestly. The Niner defense has been fantastic historically over the last 10 years. This is the first time the offense, in my opinion, that I can recall in a long time, is playing better than the defense. Would you agree? Starting with you, Luke?
I think that it's interesting when you look at our defense because they're probably the weakest point, and they're good. They're really strong, but the cornerbacks, we didn't put a lot of money and go out and get any corners. So, Ambry Thomas, I know got burned a few times, but overall, they're pretty darn good, especially when Bosa's in there and healthy. It all starts with Bosa. But the secondary is probably my biggest concern. Ward is probably their best DB, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and what was going on at the left cornerback? It looked like they kept substituting Ambry Thomas and Lenore at the left cornerback, and then bringing in Oliver at the nickel cornerback position. It looks like they were kind of like rotating them in and back and forth. And when Thomas was in, it didn't look good. They were picking on him, and they were just,
Yeah, that's when we started
picking on him
to
with
watch them come
the
back.
rookie wide receiver by that. So he got burned, I think, twice on one scoring drive, and I don't know if I saw him in there afterwards, but
So did Lenore, though.
Did Lenore? Okay,
Lenore
so
did also.
It wasn't just him.
Lenore was getting beat on his routes, jumping too early. He looked like a rookie out there a few times. He didn't look good, so they started putting in Thomas. Then Thomas didn't look good either, so that wasn't much of a help. And I think toward the end, Isaiah Oliver started playing a little bit more, and he made a play or two toward the end.
Yeah, I've liked him in the season so far as the starting nickelback corner. I kind of want to see Lenore just be the permanent guy out there on the left side, be the outside cornerback, and Oliver inside taking the slot receiver. But I guess they kind of want to still, have those guys compete against each other and see who wins the job during the game. And right now, I have to give the slight nod to Lenore and Oliver being the guys out there on the starting 11. So we'll see what Wilkes.
It was a rough game for them.
The Cowboys. It was. It wasn't great. And you know what? There was a good pass rush, but I just felt like Joshua Dobbs on the Cardinals did a really good job of getting rid of the ball or scrambling and using his legs to get some first downs. But the pass rush is there. We're just not getting the sack numbers. We got one out of the gravedigger Javon Hargrave on a crucial play when the game was still in doubt. But yeah, we're not getting those big sack numbers like some of the teams out there, like the Eagles and the Chargers and the Cowboys.
Yeah,
I feel like we will soon, though.
We will.
If you look at Bosa, according to PPF, Bosa has how many pressures for the year? I think he's like 7th in the league right now in pressures.
Yeah.
Remember, he wasn't in practice either. So, and Kinlaw, he's got one pressure every 10 reps.
Yeah.
So he's getting his pressures in there.
He
got
plays well when he's in there. He does.
Yeah,
Lucas,
he's making the most out of his time.
Last week, the D line is actually better this year. So I think it'll come soon, and that'll help guys like Ambry Thomas, and the secondary is a little questionable, but obviously we would have destroyed our Arizona if we would have had a few sacks in that game.
And we came close. Bosa's just knocking on that door, man.
Yeah,
he really is. Yeah, I think six pressures in this game. Two or three times he almost got there. He just missed it. So that big sack game's coming up. So don't get discouraged, people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I rewatched that game, and there were times where Bosa, Armstead, Hargrave, Drake Jackson, they were just a split second too late to get to the quarterback before they either got rid of it or scrambled for a first down. So we're there. And I think Dak Prescott doesn't quite have the same mobility as Dobbs. So I don't think he's going to be as lucky as he was to get out of the pocket and get rid of the ball. He tends to hold the ball a little longer too. So we'll see. We'll see how the pass rush fares and if they start to get some of those sack numbers next game.
Let him hold it longer.
Just
He can hold it as long as he wants, as long as we get there.
A
You know,
rematch of the playoff game last year? Didn't we play him in the playoffs?
we played him the last 2 years in a row. I believe.
Yeah, defensive struggle last year. I think it was a 19 to 15 or 19 to 12. It's a low scoring game. It's definitely a defensive struggle, and there were some special teams issues, but yeah, we pulled that out. It was a close one.
I remember the one the year before
on each other, so we'll see. Like, there's going to be a lot of preparation. So.
Yeah, I remember last year's. You know what? We've had such a great history having games with these guys. I remember the one before last year mainly because I remember Jimmy trying to kick the Cowboys in the game. But anyway, I got to throw 2 words out there for Jimmy, man, because I always appreciate what he did for us. But I spoke to a lot of Raider fans before they got Jimmy, and they were telling me how they thought that the Raiders were going to be so great with this guy, and here they are, 1-3, and I just can't help but to laugh, man, at the misery. Like, as soon as we get Jimmy, you're going to see that we're way better than you. I literally had a Raiders fan at work tell me the only reason you've been better than us the last few years is because of Jimmy. I'm like, really? You can have him, bro. Let's see how you're doing now. But yeah, guys,
we could sit here and trash the Raiders for an hour, but let's stay on topic. Stick to the 49ers.
A little humor. Throw in a little humor, man. It's just too much, too much. So, gentlemen, moving ahead toward the Cowboys. Is there anything on the Cowboys that concerns you a bit? I see a running back. Who's a little small, who's very shifty, who got hurt the last game against us. So he doesn't pose much of a threat to me, honestly. I think it's really up to their defense to try and win the game for them if they are going to win this game. I think that for the Dallas Cowboys to win this game, they're going to need their best defensive showing of the year because of who our offense is. Honestly, I think it's going to be a good game. I think they'll give us a tough go at certain times, but our coach versus their coach, when in doubt, I always think of 2 people. Who's your quarterback? Who's your coach? We got Mr. Reliable as a quarterback, and we have a much far superior coach. What do you guys think?
Definitely. I think it's going to come down to they get good Prescott or bad Prescott. Because you said Jimmy.
Yeah.
Because he really sort of like that. He's very much like Jimmy, where he either has an unbelievable game or he just has like complete crap.
Yeah. I mean, he could throw for 300 yards and 4 TDs. He's done it before.
Yeah.
I think he has a 5 TD game possibly even, but and he can make plays. Dak Prescott's a talented player. He's in that middle echelon of QBs, so to speak, like that number 15-ish type guy who never really reaches his potential. That's how I feel about him. How do you feel, Ortiz?
I think it's going to come down to, can the Cowboys ultimately stop our offense? And the answer is no. You try to take one guy out of it, and we're going to hit you with, a Christian McCaffrey. You try to stop Christian McCaffrey, we're going to hit you with Debo. You try to stop Debo, we're going to hit you with Ayuk or Kittle. So it's a machine right now, and I think Cal is going to open up the playbook a little bit. Like, he's going to save some of the good stuff for later on in the season in the playoffs, but I think he's going to open up a little bit. We're going to see some trick plays, but look for us to run it down their throats. Like, when you have 2 really good pass rushers like Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence, you want to run right at them. Like, those guys, as great a pass rushers as they are, they're not really great at stopping the run, especially when it comes right at them. And look for us to do that.
That's completely true. That is completely true.
Look
you
for
can't run
CMC
them over.
To eat. He's going to get probably another 25 touches like he did this last game, and hopefully he gets over that 100-yard mark. We get Mason in. Maybe Mitchell comes back this game. From what I heard, his injury wasn't too major. It was just a little.
Was that practice?
Right? Yeah, he just banged his knee up a little bit. I think if he had to play, he would have. But it just goes to show you, we don't need guys to play while they're hurt this early in the season. We're that good to still win. And I don't think it's going to be that close of a game. I think we're going to hit our 30 mark again, maybe 30, 35. Seems to be the theme so far this season. And I like them to win by two scores, maybe 10 or 12 points. That's how I see it, guys. I'm not going to give you a score. I'm just going to say we're going to do 2 scores.
That's Mike Arango. You can't do that.
Cover the spread and
Mike would answer like a politician. Just get
I don't think. Here, you want to go next? Sure. I'll tell you what. I don't think he's too far off. I'm gonna say we're getting almost 30 almost every week. We're getting 30 every week right now. So I'm gonna say a little less this week. I'm gonna say like 25, 27. I'm gonna say 27. 27-14, 27-17, right around there. I like what he's saying. It's correct what Ortiz says. When you run at Micah Parsons, that's where the problems begin for Dallas. Run at him. Don't let him do what he's good at. He's good at getting to the quarterback. If you notice, we've been using our fullback a lot more last week too, whether it be as a dummy run, a receiver, or even putting him in there to block. Let's protect Purdy. Let's keep Micah Parsons away from him, and the Niners will win this game. I say by about 12-ish, but we win. Definitely.
McLaughlin, you're up.
All right, I think Debo's going to have 2 scores, and he's going to have over 100 yards, and maybe one of the scores is just a really long run. And I think we're going to run a punt back for a touchdown. So I think it's going to be we're going to break the 30 points. It's going to be 42-10 Niners.
With that run back, you got to get some guts to call that play because I haven't seen that in a while from us.
It's going to be a Ray McLeod return touchdown. All right.
Been waiting for that one. For those of you that don't know, by the way, Micah Parsons has been opening up his trap like he always does. He's actually hopeful that the Niners will run the ball. He's made that clear. So he's like, I hope that he made a point earlier this week. I hope that they watch the Cardinals game because that's not the real Cowboys, and they can try running it up against us. They won't. Okay, man. I see us running the ball against you. But okay, let's see what he's got. But I think we'll pass it.
He has given us a lot of respect, though. He has complimented our team a lot and says that Brock Purdy is a legit, stud quarterback.
Yeah, I don't think he meant it in a negative way. He just meant
right.
Yeah, he
wants the challenge. He wants the challenge.
Yeah, you ain't gonna do what the Cardinals did to us. We want you to look at the Cardinals film. I'm sure that we're looking at that Cardinals film, but we got a much better coach to exploit those weaknesses.
Hey, boys, doesn't this feel like this game means a lot more to the Cowboys than it does to us? Like if we lose, all right, we're still one of the best teams in the league.
Absolutely.
We beat them in the past four straight times. For them, I think they take this a lot more personally. They
have to.
They're a little more bitter. Did you guys hear what Dak Prescott said in a press conference? He was being asked, what did he feel like when he lost against us in the playoffs last year? And he's like, all right, not good. Thanks for making me angry. Thanks for making me more motivated to play harder. Yeah, like he was visibly pissed off.
That's like asking the shark attack victim, like, let's go back to the beach and talk about what happened to you.
Yeah, he's like, all right, thanks for lighting my fire. That's pretty much the gist of his.
Jerry Jones 4 hours ago made a statement, and it's not the type of statement Cowboy fans like to hear. In reference to the 49ers, this is what he said, and I quote, "They're probably the best right now. They are the team most likely to win the Super Bowl." He said that on 105.3 The Fan. But in order for them to get there, they have to go through us. Hopefully 2 times if it falls my way. And we're in the playoffs, of course. The bottom line is you're playing to be the best. But yeah, Jerry Jones knows it too. The Niners look like the best team in the NFL right now. Philly doesn't look threatening to me at this moment, guys. Everyone's kind of taking it to them. And their secondary has big issues right now because they have 0 depth at corner and they don't have hardly any depth at safety, and they're injured all over the secondary.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we've seen the best.
Another big game.
I don't think we've seen the best out of Philly, but I honestly don't think we've seen the best out of our team yet.
You're gonna see the best out of Philly, though.
We haven't.
Both their corners are out for the year.
Yeah. That's true.
That's a year.
We'll see them later in the year. I think we see them in November, December.
Late in the year, yeah.
We'll let's hold judgment until then and see what their record is and see what our record is. And
there's just not enough football in one game to get all of our stars involved.
That's true.
It's kind of true. Like imagine if Debo had a huge game and Kittle had a huge game. I mean, it's just not even really possible because Purdy was efficient.
Yeah.
He did everything right, and the team right now is rolling on all cylinders. And guys, for everyone that's hearing out there, like and subscribe, so we can get more content out to you. It helps out the show, helps us keep it on the air, so to speak.
We'll get back to the Arango Files next week.
Yeah, I'll be completely honest with you. I got no big.
There you go.
You know, we played almost a perfect game. It feels like, even though we did it. You know, they gave up that 94-yard drive, but we played so good. And yeah, two of our corners didn't play perfect. But I just can't pick on anyone this week, sadly enough.
It may be Tom.
Does anybody know what the deal was after the game with James Conner grabbing Huafunga's his
Scuffle.
neck? Yeah, what was
not too sure. I know what you're talking about on the sideline. Not too sure, but yeah.
Was there like a late hit or some trash talking that just,
I think he's just jealous because we have like a seventh rounder who's an all-pro now.
They were yapping throughout the game. I don't think he likes getting hit by Funga. And one time when he hit Funga, he yapped at Funga also. So
okay, so it's just a little chippy out. Yeah, I'm sure he didn't like losing either. So
props
probably
to Kittle for going in there, trying to break it up. We need Funga against the Cowboys.
Yeah.
It's McCaffrey's world, and we just live in it, man.
Yeah.
That's it. I love it. With that said, guys, hope you enjoy the show this week. We'll be back next week a little bit earlier, just like we did this week as always. And until
Cowboy
then,
week.
The Stick Niner Empire podcast.
Cowboy week.
We are all going to win. We're all on the same page. We all say about 12 points and up, right? Give or take 12 points.
Yeah. Grab your popcorn. Sunday Night Football. Can't wait.
Let's go, baby. Go Niners.
Go Niners. See you guys later.
Stick Niner Empire podcast. You guys have a great night.
All right, guys.
Be safe, guys.
Take care.
See you guys.
It's the Stick Niner Empire podcast show with your hosts, Iron Mike Arango, Lucas Ortiz, and Lucas McLaughlin.